Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Inner Game podcast. I am really excited to feature a very special guest today. Michelle Seiler Tucker is the founder and CEO of Seiler Tucker Incorporated. She is an acquisitions and merger expert, and she owns many other businesses in several different industries. As a 20-year-old veteran in the M&A industry, she's regarded as a leading authority on buying, selling, fixing, and growing businesses. She and her firm have sold over 1,000 businesses in almost every vertical and have a remarkable track record of success. In addition, Michelle has been featured in Inc., Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, and USA Magazine, and she has a new book coming out called Exit Rich. Michelle, a very warm welcome to the Entrepreneur's Inner Game podcast. I'm really thrilled to have you on the show.
Thank you, Nina. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm so looking forward to talking to you about mindset because you have enjoyed huge success. And I'd love to know, was there a pivotal moment where you suddenly realized that mindset was an important part of your success?
I don't know if there was a pivotal moment. I've always dealt with different, types of tragedy in my life. And I think I've always been self-sufficient and determined and have had amazing persistence. I've always had that attitude that, I'm going to make it no matter what. Nobody's going to stop me. And, I started that at a very young age, probably at 16, 17. And I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've always owned different businesses in different industries. And I always knew I was going to be successful. I didn't always know how, but I always knew I was going to be successful.
And how did you use that in order to get momentum in what in the success that you've built? How did you take that thinking and then use it?
Yeah. Well, I think, for me, it's always been about, I'm extremely stubborn. So I'm extremely stubborn. I don't let anybody tell me no. And when people tell me it can't be done, I show them how it can be done. And I've always been comfortable being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't take massive action and move forward in order to achieve success because they're uncomfortable getting uncomfortable. So they're uncomfortable doing something new or something different. And I always say you have to get outside of your comfort zone in order to grow. Like I remember the first time I spoke in front of 1,000 people, I thought I was going to pass out and die. I really did. So I do things to get me outside of my comfort zone because the only way you can grow is to stretch yourself. And you're either growing or dying. There's no in between. You're growing or dying.
Amazing. So you just you have this inbuilt ability just to be able to push past that piece of that uncomfortable feeling and then just do it anyway.
Correct. Absolutely.
So how did you get past that discomfort? What was your thinking? Because it's so easy to stop at that point and think, oh, I might do it next week, or I'll do it later, or it doesn't really matter if I don't do it. We can just make so many excuses and stories not to do it. So what was it that got you past that point?
I think for me, I set these goals. I call them A, B, and C goals. And I set goals and I follow the rules of setting goals. And I have like time frames. So I've always been a law of attraction type of person, and I set goals. I talk about this in my book, Exit Rich. I think it's in the first or second chapter, and I call them ABC goals. Those A type goals, you have to have goals. You have to have a plan. You have to have, something that's going to drive you. You can't just wake up every day and have no plan. And so those A goals are those type of goals that you know that you can accomplish, and they're not really going to grow you at all. Like, let's say you drive a certain type of car. Let's say you drive a BMW X5. This is an exact example in the book. And let's say your goal is to go out and buy a brand new BMW X5. Well, you've already done that before, right? You've already bought a BMW. You know you can buy a BMW again. that goal is not going to grow you at all. A B type goal is that goal that's going to cause you to stretch a little bit outside your comfort zone. It's going to cause you to grow and reach for something a little bit bigger than what you have now. So let's say that you live in a beautiful home, but you want to upgrade, and you're in 4,000 square feet. You want to upgrade to 6,000 square feet, and you want to move into a gated community, and it's maybe $250,000 more. Okay. Well, that goal is going to stretch you, right? I mean, the payments of the house that you're in now versus the payments of a house that's $250,000 more is going to cost you more money. Plus, property taxes are going to be higher. You're going to need more maintenance, etc. So that goal is going to cause you to grow. The C type goal is a huge picture goal. That big vision where you say, I'm going to make the New York Times best-selling author for Exit Rich. Now, that's a tough goal to accomplish if I've never done it before. Or you're going to sell your business for $20 million, and your business right now is worth $1 million. So those C-type goals are goals that really cause you to dig deep and to stay motivated and to be resilient and stay in the game no matter what. Now, in order to accomplish these C-type goals, you have to have a big enough why. Why do you want to sell your business for $20 million? Why do you want to make a movie about your life? Why do I want to make the New York Times bestseller? So if you don't have a powerful why, it will never keep you in the game. So many people quit so soon. There's a book out there called 3 Feet from Gold, 3 Feet from Gold, that was written by Greg Reed. And it is in the Think and Grow Rich Napoleon Hill Foundation. It's one of their books. So a lot of people give up too soon because they don't have a powerful why. A lot of people will tell you what you can't do. Everybody tells you what you can't do, what you can't be, what you shouldn't do. And they've never done it before, so they're trying to keep you down. So you really need a strong why, a powerful why to keep you in the game. You also need to visualize. I mean, people do vision boards all the time. You need to visualize what that success looks like. What does it look like when you sell your $20 million company? What does it look like if they make a story about your life? What does it look like if I make the New York Times best-selling author? And really visualize that. And you really have to just stay focused, because where focus goes, energy flows, right? So you got to be focused on those goals and it keeps you driven, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you in the game. And even when the pandemic hits, there are always obstacles and controversies and conflicts and things that happen. It's called life. But you just got to deal with it and dig deep and stay true to yourself and remember what it is that you want to accomplish and why you want to accomplish that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I love it. And it's so important to have a big why, because that's what keeps you motivated when times get tough. And they do get tough for all of us because life is challenging. And it's not the challenge that's important, is it? It's our response to it and how we choose to react to that challenge.
Correct. You should never react. You should always respond. And no matter what's happening in the outside world, you should never react to that. You should respond to what's happening in here. So that's why you got to keep calm and remember your why and focus on your why, because it is tough. Life is tough. And then when you add entrepreneurship and business ownership on top of that, it gets even tougher. So you really have to have a powerful enough why to keep you in the game.
And do you have any tips on how to find your big why? Because this is something that can elude a lot of people who think, well, I think I'm doing it because, I'd like to have a bigger house, or I'd like to have more holidays. But it's having a big, big, powerful why, which is the big driver, isn't it?
It is a huge driver. And, that takes some soul searching. And I think if you just tie your why to monetary things, it's not as meaningful as, hey, I want to be able to take more trips and spend more time with my family. Or I want to be able to make more money so I can donate more to my favorite charity. or I want to make more money so I can start a nonprofit and give back to the community. So I think your why has to serve a bigger power than yourself. And it can't just be attached to monetary, because once you get that bigger house, then what? You follow me? It's got to be bigger than that. It's got to serve a higher purpose than that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And in terms of, you mentioned the law of attraction.
Yes.
How do you use the law of attraction to manifest what you want?
So I'm not the expert at it. I have lots of friends of mine that are the expert of it. I mean, Bob Proctor is an expert of law of attraction. Tony Robbins is a big one to study for law of attraction. And there's like a lot of experts. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I've been to enough seminars. I've spoken on enough stages. To me, law of attraction is all about, setting that C-type goal, visualizing it, putting it on your vision board, doing those steps every single day. Because you can't just stick it on your vision board and say it's going to happen. You got to take steps. You got to take massive action. You got to move, and so many people have big goals and big dreams, but they don't do the work to accomplish it. It takes massive work to accomplish big dreams. One of my very dear friends, Frank Shankowitz, who is a founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, his goal, his dream was always to have a movie about his life. And finally, he got a movie made about his life called Wishman, but it took him years to get there. So it's not an overnight process. But you have to remember your why, and then why you want to accomplish that. And sometimes the why changes. So you have to continue to go back and soul search to see, did my why change? A lot of people's whys have changed after this pandemic significantly. So you always want to revisit your why. But, you really want to, like I said, visualizing, whether you believe in vision boards or not, really get the picture clear in your head where you can visualize it, where you can see it, where you know how you're going to feel when it happens and how you're going to celebrate that moment, and do that every day. But then also make sure you document the steps that's going to need to be taken, and maybe pray. I pray sometimes. I'm like, you know what, God, please send me an angel. Please send me please make sure I hire the right people to help me with this book promotion. Please send me the right people, to help me to do this or to do that. Sharon Lechter is my co-author in my book, Exit Rich. And I'm like, one day I'm like, God, I need the right co-author. And I got Sharon Lechter, and Sharon Lechter wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. She's a New York Times bestselling author 5 times. And she's written several books in the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Plus she's a CPA and financial literacy expert. I think God answered my prayer there. So sometimes you got to put out in the universe. You got to ask what you want, but you got to ask specifically for what you want. You know what I mean? You can't just say, hey, I want a pizza. You guys say, hey, I want a pizza with pepperoni, mushrooms, olives. You got to be specific about what you want. So many people are not specific. And so the universe needs you to be specific. There's a great movie out there called The Secret. And I don't know if you've watched it or not, but a lot of my friends are in that movie.
Many years ago.
Yeah, Laura Langmeyer's in that movie. I watch that movie once every month. I have my 10-year-old daughter watch that movie. So it's about really putting it out there in the universe and being specific on what it is that you want. And then, like I said, you can't just sit on the couch and watch TV all day and expect to manifest what you want. You also got to take massive action.
Yeah, and massive action is a big part of it, which I'd like to mention and talk about in more detail. But I'm a big fan of vision boards. I've had a vision board for the last 3 or 4 years. And, you look at your vision board at the end of the year and you think, wow, 80% of that's happened. So it's huge. And, but it's not just having a vision board, it's looking at it regularly to be focused on the goals. And as you said, they change over time, they evolve as your thinking evolves.
Right.
In terms of taking massive action, because that's the second bit, isn't it? It's having a mindset where you can push through the uncomfortable bits and dream big, but it's the taking the massive action, and many entrepreneurs just feel that it's too risky, or they don't feel safe taking big action. They're worried about failing or getting it wrong. So how do you take action? How do you maintain that, being a master implementer?
Well, and I am a master implementer. I really am, because, they always say knowledge is power. And I'm like, no, Knowledge is good, but power is implementation. Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, if you haven't implemented anything, then it's a waste, right? So implementation is key. And for me, I made the statement earlier that you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We all have fears. We all have concerns. We're all, the first time I spoke on stage in front of 1,000 people, I thought I really did think I was going to pass out. And, I started like having a panic attack, but I pushed through it. You have to push through it. And again, that's where your why comes in. That's where your why comes in, to keep you strong, to keep you motivated, to keep you in the game. But you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's just like books, I've written 3 books. And every time I write a book, I've written a book in 6 weeks. Exit Rich is 325 pages. I wrote Exit Rich in 6 weeks. I have people tell me, oh, well, I want to write a book. Oh, I'm working on my book. How long have you been working on your book? 5 years. It does not take 5 years to write a book. That's a perfect example of taking massive action. You determine, I want to write a book. I didn't know what the title was. I didn't really know what the title was until the entire manuscript was completed. So you don't have to have everything perfect to begin. I start with a table of contents and I start writing, and I change the table of contents around. I move chapters around. I'll type up an entire chapter and then go back and edit it. But I set my mind to say, okay, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to start around Thanksgiving, and I'm going to write, through the holidays. So through Thanksgiving, through December, some of January, typically about 6 weeks. I'm going to do it from home. Nobody's going to bother me unless the house is on fire, unless the office is on fire. Don't call me. I'm going to get up at like 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., and I'm going to write from like 5:30 or 6 till 6 o'clock at night, 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I do this during the holidays when I have a house full of people, and I tell them, don't bother me. And then at 5:30 or 6, I'll come down and drink a glass of wine with you. But you got to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then that's massive action, right? To write a book in 6 weeks is massive action. People are like, I don't know how you do it. I do it because I'm disciplined. I do it because I'm motivated. I do it because I really don't want to work on something for 3 years, but I can work on something for 6 weeks. I do it because I want to see the end game and I want to see my accomplishment. So you really got to step outside of your comfort zone. And it doesn't matter if you're scared. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It doesn't matter if you have all the pieces or not. They will come. Have you ever heard when a student is ready, the teacher will appear? It's the same thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, great. I love it. How do you maintain that discipline? See, when you have that morning and the alarm goes off at 4:30, you think, oh, I really don't want to get up today. How do you maintain that momentum?
Yeah. So I just tell myself, first of all, I don't think about it. I just jump up. Like right now, I get up every morning at 4:45 a.m. and I'm not writing a book. And I just jump up. When you start to think about it, people think too much. When you start to think about it, that's when you talk yourself out of it, and you really got to get in the habit of it, because it takes, I think they said 21, 28 days to create a habit. Well, I've been getting up at 4:30 a.m. now for quite a while, 4:45 for quite a while, and it's a habit. And then when my daughter is out of school for the summertime, I'll probably get up at 5:30. I'll sleep an extra hour, but it's a habit. And I don't think, because when I think, then I'm going to talk myself out of it. I'm going to go back to sleep and I'm going to set the alarm. Stop thinking, start doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I always say when
does.
you're in your head, when you get in your head, you're dead. So many people are always in their head. When you get in your head, you're dead. Same thing when I was writing my book. I didn't think about it. I just knew I had to get up and do it.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll talk yourself out of it, won't you?
You will always talk yourself out of it. Let me tell you something. I've tried talking myself out of so many things. Sometimes too, you have to have a good coach. You have to have a good partner. You have to have a good mentor. You have to have a good buddy system. That's why sometimes, people go to the gym together. So they got a good buddy system that can say, you can do it, you can do it. And a lot of times you need that in life, right? So I remember the first time I spoke on stage, I kept talking myself out of it. All the reasons I shouldn't do it. It's not going to change anything in my life. It's not going to do anything for me. That was all my self-talk, right? But I had a mentor who said, you're going to talk on stage, even if I have to drag you up by your hair and pull you up on stage by your hair. And I go, well, what if I pass out? And he goes, we'll give you mouth to mouth. It's okay. So a lot of times you just got to surround yourself with, with the right people. A lot of times people surround themselves with the wrong people. You are who you hang out with. Your network equals your net worth. And, if you want to be positive and be goal oriented and, be successful, hang out with successful people. You want to be broke, hang out with broke people. So it really helps to have that mentor or that buddy system or somebody who you can trust, that y'all can push each other and keep each other accountable. Now, I keep myself accountable, and I've always been that way. But a lot of people can't do that. So if you don't feel like you can do that on your own, then get somebody else that can help you.
Great advice. Yeah, because you don't have to
Yeah.
do it on your own, do you? You don't have to figure it all out on your own. You can get good support and help.
Absolutely. And I always think, and you know what? And don't get your spouse.
Good advice.
My husband was a bodybuilder, and he was a very, successful bodybuilder. He's a chiropractor now, but he's a very successful bodybuilder. And I remember going to the gym with him. I'm like, I'm not listening to you. You can't tell me what to do. So I always say, don't get your spouse, but you should always have a mentor. You should always have an expert, somebody who's been down the road you want to travel. Don't ask somebody for advice if they've never done it before. And that's what happens. People go and ask everybody that they know, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? And of course they're going to give you negative opinions, or they're going to tell you what they think, and they've never done it before. So how do they know?
Yeah, that's
How
a
can
really
they
great
advise you?
point. That's a really, really great point. Yeah, there's no point asking someone who's got their own fears, because they'll just give their fears to you.
Right. And there's a lot, unfortunately, there's a lot of negative people out there. And look, we have enough negative self-talk in our own heads. We don't need other people saying negative things to us.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think it's really important to have that why and stay committed and make sure you identify those goals and just be driven, and then have a plan, like when I write a book, I make a plan. When I speak on stage, I make a plan. I have a plan for everything. So many people go out there and they want to accomplish something, but they have no plan. You have to have that plan. People don't go out and fail the plan. They plan to fail.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love this. So, there are setbacks in life, aren't there, when things don't go according to plan. How do you deal with setbacks, and how do you get through setbacks?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I just feel like I've had many setbacks, but one of my recent setbacks was, our book. We were going to publish our book April of 2020. Well, Sharon Lecter and I were all ready. We had all these stages lined up where we were going to sell books and speak on stage, and COVID happened. So that completely derailed our plan. So we had to pivot, but instead of getting all upset, instead of crying over something that we can't change, instead of, reacting to it, we responded and said, okay, we're going to push the date back. And what is our plan now going forward? If we can't speak on live stages, how do we pivot? And so that's what we did. So you can't dwell on something. You can't focus on something, because where, energy flows where focus goes. So if you focus on the negative, you're going to get more of the same, right? So we want to focus on the positive and go, okay, sometimes things happen for a reason. Sometimes it's really a blessing, and we can't see it right then and there because we're stuck in the negativity of it, and the, being upset and being disappointed, and we're stuck in that state. And you can't be stuck in that state. You got to snap out of it, and you got to try to look for the lesson. What's the lesson here? Where's the blessing here? Where's the rainbow? And how do we pivot, and where do we go next? So I'm more of a problem solver, a solution expert. I wouldn't call myself a huge feelings person. Not that I have a problem with that, but I'm always thinking about, okay, what do we do next? 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 so I don't get stuck. Otherwise, you get stuck in your own pity party. And a lot of people have a hard time climbing out of that. So it's best not to go down that path.
Yeah, and that's the pragmatic side, isn't it? It's the practical side where you're finding solutions to problems.
Got to find solutions. I mean, what could we do? There's nothing we can do. We can't cure the world's pandemic, but we can move the date. We can come up with new plans, and we can respond instead of react. React would be to be depressed and get upset and get angry, and that changes nothing, so a lot of times, people look at something and go, oh my gosh, my business is not where I want it to be. My bank account is low. I'm in debt. And they look at that report card or the bank statement and go and respond to it. And react to it. And what they really should be doing is responding to it. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that makes absolute sense.
Okay, so you have no money in your bank account. Okay, let's figure that out. Why do you have no money in your bank account, and how can we change that so it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, and make a plan for it.
Correct.
What do you think is the biggest reason for your success?
I would say the biggest reason for my success, and that's a tough one, but I would say probably my willingness, stubbornness, not to ever give up. And I just feel like life is a precious gift. And I've never been the type of person that wants to sit on the couch all day and watch TV. That life is a precious gift, and we should use the gifts that God gave us for massive impact that we can have on others.
Wonderful. And what's the greatest lesson life has taught you?
Not to give up.
Not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Never give up. I mean, my friends who know me call me like a little Rottweiler because I never let go.
Well, you are a little powerhouse. I can see that. And are you happy?
I am. I mean, there's times, and I don't know if anybody's happy 1,000% of the time. I think that a lot of times people are like, oh, you should be happy, you should be happy, you should be happy. And I don't know how realistic it is to always be happy, right? I think happiness is something that we all want to achieve, and we all, want to make sure that we have that joy and we are happy all the time. I listen a lot to Joyce Myers, who I love and adore. And I think happiness is something you have to work at. A lot of people say, well, when I get this, I'll be happy. Or when I achieve that, I'll be happy. When I accomplish this, I'll be happy. And the happiness is not really in the accomplishment. It's in the journey getting there.
Yeah. And we can choose to be happy right now, wherever we are. It's just a choice, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's what Joyce Myers says. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. You can be happy right now, no matter what chaos is going on in the world. You can be happy right now. It is absolutely 1,000% a choice. It is a state of mind. Being depressed is a state of mind. Being angry is a state of mind. Being happy is a state of mind. So, yeah, I always make a conscious effort to enjoy the here and now and be happy.
Yeah, because as you said, life is a precious gift.
It is. And there's been, I've had setbacks where I'm like, something that happened, I get really upset. But, one thing I always say to myself is this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And I always try to put it in perspective and think about it before I react and say, okay, is this going to bother me in 5 years? Am I going to even remember this situation in 5 years? And if I'm not going to remember this in 5 years, or if it's not going to have a massive effect on my life in 5 years, then let's not let it overwhelm my life right now.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way of looking at it. A great question to ask yourself.
Right. And pretty soon COVID, in 5 years, will be like, COVID what? COVID who?
We hope. Right. We hope, fingers crossed.
We will.
So, Michelle, how can our listeners and people who are watching our video, how can they find out more about you and the wonderful work that you do?
Sure. So I would encourage all the listeners, especially entrepreneurs, business owners, anyone thinking about starting a business or buying a business, to go get Exit Rich at exitrichbook.com. Make sure you put in the book, though. Everybody's doing Exit Rich. You got to do exitrichbook.com. And right now we're in the middle of pre-sales for $24.79, you can purchase a book, which is less than Amazon. We will email you the digital download immediately so you can start reading the book today from wherever you are, anywhere in the world. For my USA people, we will ship the hardcover to your doorstep. For my outside the US people, we'll send you the Kindle after pub date, but everybody gets the email digital download immediately. Plus, everybody gets the lifetime membership to Exit Rich Book Club, where there's a lot of video training and me doing deep dives into the different strategies and techniques and principles in my book. Plus, we have documentation. So a lot, every business has to have documents, right? You have to have employee handbooks, you have to have org charts, you have to have non-competes, you have to have, if you want to sell your business, you need to have a LOI, letter of intent, a purchase agreement, due diligence checklist, closing documents. So I've included all of these documents in the Exit Rich Book Club. Cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars to gather these documents. They're there for free. You can review them, you can download them. Plus, we're offering 30 days free membership into Club CEOs, which is a like-minded entrepreneurial mastermind that I've started, where we do Q&As and hot seats and help get people focused, help get people to discover their why, and help get people to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Wonderful. I love the sound of it. And I would encourage everyone to go and take a look. And it's exitrichbook.com. We will add the link when we put up the video as well.
Thank you. And I can also go to seilertucker.com. And that's my main website.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being such an amazing guest on my show. You have just really, really enjoyed listening to your wisdom. And I think everyone who's been watching and listening, hopefully you got a huge amount of value out of this. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you everyone who's been with us today. Really enjoyed your company. Till next time. Bye-bye for now.